Got the time now at 7:01. I call this meeting of Aransas Pass Independent School Board open. I declare we have a quorum. Ms. Diosas will read us in the pledges, and Mr. Rector leaves us in invocation. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Let us pray. My Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Knowing this is a day you have made, we all should rejoice and be glad. We thank you for the precious gift you have given us and our students and our staff. We ask your blessings upon us as we celebrate the resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, knowing he arose on the third day with all power within his hands. Now we ask your blessings upon our meeting, and we ask these powerful in the powerful name of Jesus Christ. For his sake we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Diosas and Mr. Rector. Okay, next is public testimony. Do we have anybody sign up? No. Okay, next is district recognition, Panther of the Month and Employee of the Month for April 22. Ms. Cook?
We're always excited to acknowledge our Panthers and Employees of the Month, and we have our video hopefully is working. We've had lots of tech problems today. But we want to show you that here they are. Here they go. So cute. Oh, gosh, she's gotten big.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. As always, we appreciate their hard work.
Well, again, we appreciate looking at that and paying, honoring some of our students every month. So we kind of look forward to that. I know each of the board members kind of look forward to that. So, but next on the agenda is superintendent's report, the construction report. Ms. Cook.
Okay, in the construction report, since you had a meeting not too long ago, since we had moved the one in March down, so it seems like you were just here, and you were. So the punch list basically is that punch list again, just as a reminder of where we are on those things. Just a few items left. Most are completed. We did add at the bottom where the lettering for the batting cages has been ordered, but we were unable to get an exact date of arrival, as is the case with many things that you order now. But they should, we would hope in a few weeks, but we don't have any dates on that. The plaque for the Little Bob Spears notification was ordered way back in February, and we called and confirmed they are going to have it here no later than April 22nd is what they said. They're going to try to get it here sooner when we told them that our grand opening is the 26th, so that we can get that out there. So that was added to the punch list to give you updates on that. Then you have the letters for the work that needs to be done after the baseball and softball season, where we've discussed those items that need to be taken care of, and so we have official letters from those companies showing exactly what they will be doing when that will be occurring. So we have that for documentation. So any questions about our?
Well, if we notified the Spears family of the opening to make sure
Yes,
their families are aware
we're
of
doing
the.
we're doing very formal invitations to certain key individuals. Yes.
And it was brought to my attention also that, but I don't remember if it was, maybe some other board members here do. We talked about the plaque for Little Bob Spears, family that was over there before, and we talked about the wording and everything, which we got ordered. But somebody, one of the other board members had told me that we're supposed to have ordered a plaque for the facility, for the athletic complex facility, a dedication for it, which I don't remember us ever talking as a board about, but that's something we want to discuss and that how we want to do that. So
Yeah, when it was brought to my attention today, I went back to the team. None of us recall any discussion about how you normally, like in the gymnasium, as you walk in on the left-hand side on the wall, we have the building plaque. Like at Falk, you have the building plaque. I know we've had many discussions about the plaque for Little Bob Spears, so that we did not lose that in the transition. But so I called Todd and asked him about it because I thought, well, maybe somehow we missed it. He said that was not in the plans at all because normally that a plaque of that status is used for a substantial completion of a project, like a gymnasium or a school. But you have that choice. I mean, you can have one. But I would just need to know if the board would like to do that. It will cost us probably at least $1,500 for the plaque. So I need to know that so I can find the funding for that. It would also, we'd need to decide whose names will be on the plaque because this is a bond project, completion of a bond project / other funds. So who all will it be? Former board members, current board members. So we'd have to decide that, and then where you would want to hang it, because basically you're looking at the side of the ticket booth or somewhere on the ticket booth or the concession stand, because those are, unless you want to put it on a pole like we're doing the Little Bob Spears, you could put that and place it somewhere. So anyway, it's whatever the board's pleasure is, but. If it was brought to our attention, I apologize, but I always thought we were talking about the Little Bob Spears plaque, and so did the rest of the team.
Yeah.
But whatever you as a board as a whole wish to do.
well, it's not on an agenda item, so we really can't discuss it now in the open meeting. But we may want to put that for one of the future topics in the future meeting when we go to that point in the deal.
Okay, so you'd like to have it as under construction. You can, because that's part of the construction piece. If you want us to look into it and bring you more information, you could direct that.
But again, who's going to be on it, what we're going to do,
No,
all that
you would
discussion of
definitely
that.
need to
we'd
have
have
that
to put
as
that
an
on the
item.
agenda to make sure, how the plaque's going to read and what people are going to be on it and who's not going to be on it and that. So that's going to be a board decision, so we need to talk about it and discuss it and think about it and see what you guys
So
want.
would you like me just to gather more information on that and bring it to the next board meeting for consideration, or?
Well, we just added it on the agenda for the next board meeting, as another item later on to do, and I'll bring it up when we go
Okay.
for other items, as on board meetings, we'll bring that up, so I'll just bring it up at that point. Thank you.
While we're at it, though, what kind of plaque are we talking about for new construction, renovations? What would it be? Did you say a dedication plaque?
Well, it's like the ones on the schools they put out, where, like the gym has one and Keyburger has one, and that is like a little bronze plaque. And usually what it just says, it was dedicated, whatever else, and these were people,
Yeah, put the
superintendent so-and-so,
yeah.
and these were board members, the president of the board, the vice president, and kind of lists all those people on the board. But again, since this is a 3-year project, we've had a lot of people turn over in the board. So,
Yeah.
our discussion is going to be how do we want to list it. So that's going to be the major discussion. How big do we want the list? So,
Or do you want it?
or do you want to do it at all? So that's going to be discussion.
That's why I asked, because I thought that those things occurred when you erected a new building. Maybe something came through with a bond, something that was new and it was, was designed and we
Well,
already
and from
had
that, and from that bond,
field, softball field, and
right,
football field. What we did is we brought improvements to them and
right.
consolidated those improvements with the bond into a very nice sports complex
Yes.
facility.
Yeah.
But it was
So
already
so I don't like to cut you off, but again, I don't think legally we can be discussing that now. Like a discussion, we just wait, put it on the agenda, and we'll talk about it next meeting. It's only be,
Okay.
so we can do that. So it's something to think about. I just want to make sure we don't do something illegal and get slapped on the wrist for.
Well, you can't, you're under construction, you're talking about the same construction
Yeah.
project, so you're perfectly
But
fine
I just
to
feel comfortable
discuss.
just putting it on the agenda so
Yeah.
that if somebody in the public wants to come and talk about it, they can do that. So, thank you.
The next thing is your enrollment, attendance, and COVID-19 reports. Basically, you see how our attendance is, has risen above the 90 percentile. It's not still above 95% where we want it to be. You can see the correlation between 0 cases of COVID like last week to attendance somewhat correlating back over 90%. We've been looking at that. I think from talking with the principals, we're still seeing some complacency, or we're not sure what's really going on, but the attendance and the we didn't really, prior to COVID, that really wasn't an area we had to really focus on a whole lot. We had a few students that, that they had to make sure they understood the importance of coming to school and the attendance laws, but it wasn't a real big issue. But I think we, as a district, and from talking with other superintendents, many districts it's going to be a new challenge for all of us to kind of reset the thought processes of the importance of school and coming every day. So I think that's going to be one of the fallout ramifications.
So we still have a truancy, right? Truancy.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of the teeth in that has been taken out
Yeah.
by our legislators, to say it. So yeah, it's a kind of an uphill battle, but it's definitely one that's on all of our radar, and one that we'll be looking as we look to next year how to encourage, support, celebrate, to get kids back in, coming to school every day like they're supposed to, and then of course have things in place for those that choose not to do so. But it's still looking good. It's just not as good as we're used to, and so we still have a little room to grow with our attendance rate. Thank goodness we're being held harmless.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. For this year,
because it's across the state. It's not just here.
So so it's just kind of, and like I say, hopefully, I am sure the administrators are going to have their credit at the end of the year to make sure the kids make up for attendance and whatever they need to get credit in the classes. So that's going to be, it's going to be a lot more workload on you because you're going to have more kids than you used to doing it. So, and I think the parents just need to be aware that that they still have to come to school, and they're going to have to make those hours up somewhere down the line to get there, and that's what they'll be doing, what you guys will be doing when you do your what do they call it? It's a committee they do. I can't remember what the name of it is. You guys have
for your attendance.
Yeah, your attendance at the end of the year
for,
that you kind of look for that. So, but so it's going to be more workload for the administrators, but
The next one is the summer school program planning update. We just put the flyer in your handbook. I sent it to you, and I know you've probably seen it on Facebook and our website. As of when Blaze was able to do it, I think before the internet went down, we were sitting at 170 students that have registered for this. Our goal was 200. I think we're going to hit that and probably surpass, and have to look at where our cutoff points are going to be due to space limitations and staffing. But a lot of great planning has been going on with our team of teachers that meet each Monday afternoon for at least 2 hours, and working through what our extreme experience will be, where we're focusing in on science, technology, reading, engineering, art, and math. I want to say a shout out to Ms. Dominguez and her great leadership. She's pulled lots of great resources and leading us in a great direction with this vision to really give our students an opportunity to explore through all these different content areas with very hands-on, engaging activities, going on field trips that relate directly to it. I think this will, put some excitement back into the learning process. You know, it's been a hard 2 years for everyone. So I see in the teachers them really enjoying the planning and the out-of-the-box thinking, and I think the students are going to really enjoy it. And the parents are receiving it very well. There's a lot of chatter about us doing this. We'll be sharing more information with you as the planning continues, and we'll make sure, hopefully if you haven't seen the videos, check those out, our little promo videos. The teachers they actually have written the scripts and using some of our students to do that. I think that's going a long way to generate the excitement. So we're seeing this as a catalyst for this summer for fun experiences in learning, and then working towards having these same type of extreme labs at our elementary campuses. So these same teachers will then incorporate these ideas even during the school year. So a lot of good energy and excitement as we grow in that area.
Is that number you, excuse me, is that number you just stated, was that in correlation with the
AP for Youth.
AP for
Yes,
Youth?
we're all together.
Okay.
Yes. So it's 170 students that will be in the morning, that have registered to be in the morning. And then there's another, I think it's 120 of those are staying through for AP for Youth afternoon activities at this point, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well, that's good, because I know the student loss they've had over the last couple of years, that's going to give us a little more opportunity
Oh, yeah.
to kind
Well, it's their
of gear towards those kids to kind of bring them up to where they should be
Yes.
at, hopefully, so they don't lose over the summer what they've gained so far this year. So we'll just continue that. So hopefully
We're trying to do it in an engaging way where we're doing an integration of all the concepts so that they're with the hands-on, so it's at the application and evaluation level. So I think they'll leave from this experience, and we'll be tracking it to see, where they were at the end of the school year and where they are when we do our beginning of year testing, to kind of see how this benefits. And research shows this type of learning definitely will benefit them. So one of the exciting things, there a lot is exciting about it, but we're actually going to be doing a musical. Our children don't usually get that opportunity, so as part of the arts, it will be, and the reading component too, preparing for a musical, and they will be acting it out. We'll have a showcase of that, so you'll have an opportunity to come. And so we're going to try to do some afternoon, evening showcases where you see the musical or you see their projects, so the parents can get excited about what their students are doing.
All right,
the
thank you.
children are doing.
Anybody got any comments on that?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm
We are-
excited. I don't have a kiddo right now
Yeah.
in school, but
We are too. Ms. Dominguez and I both want to just not do anything else but help them do that. We have to remind ourselves we have other things to do too, so it's very exciting. Of course, the calendar of upcoming events, tried to put as much as we can in here, and we'll try to make sure that I give you updates. We send you text messages to remind you, because this is that time of year where there's many activities. I want to encourage the principals again that make sure you remind us to remind them, and so we can all be there to support the great fun that we have during this time. I do want to bring to your attention the grand opening. We have reset the date for April, can't put my glasses on, I can read, I saw an A, April 26th at 6 p.m. And then we are to have a baseball game at 7:30 that evening. So maybe some will hang around and actually get to see a game that evening too. So.
Softball too, or just baseball?
No, softball will already be hopefully in the playoffs at that point, or it's doing some other. So we were trying to get it where we had both, but it wasn't working out well to do it. So this was kind of the best date we could find. Spring gets very difficult to find open dates.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully you can all be there, and let's celebrate this grand opening. Because we've already been using it, and it's been very well received. The final item is the scheduling of the Team of 8 training. We discussed this several times, and we were looking at, visited with Mr. Mullinax on trying to incorporate some of the different things that we had talked about. And so, in investigating it, trying to incorporate when you do a team of 8 training, there's certain requirements. So this was kind of what we were thinking, but we need your feedback on. We would use Region 2 representatives, probably Dr. Esperanza, Dr. Zendejas, for the first hour. So it has to be a 3-hour training for your team of 8, and the first hour would be roles, rights, and responsibilities. This is basically where we as a team of 8 would look at the code of conduct, the board operating procedures, and the component of a board evaluating itself and working through that, especially since we have some new board members on now. We have kind of a new makeup of our team, for us to come together and really look at that and how we hold ourselves accountable as a team of 8 and what our expectations are, first and foremost, and that meets one of the requirements of team of 8 training. The second hour, then we would move into performance, for academic performance, where we would basically, by that time, we should have some or most scores, where we could begin to give you a presentation of the status of where we are, because remember, we didn't set a timeline in the goals for where we wanted to meet those expectations. So it would give you a better frame of reference to make a decision about the timelines for those goals. And kind of give you a little time just to digest that in that portion, and then how you want us to follow up. And then finally, the third hour, then we would move into looking at the facility, where we have the list of facility needs, and then prioritize what other facility needs do we see, and coming up with a list of those needs, prioritize them, and possible timelines and funding sources we want to look at to make those happen. So that's a pretty heavy 3 hours. We'd have to be very organized, very focused, but I know there's a lot of things we've been wanting to talk about, and it's hard, especially during the summer, to get everyone together. So we were just thinking this might be a good way we may not get everything, and we won't get everything done in one 3-hour session, but it would be a good jumping off place to really come together as a team and then leave from that going, okay, what are our next steps and what do we want it to look like? What other trainings or meetings do we want to have? So we wanted to get your feedback on if that's kind of the direction you'd like to go. And then looking at dates in June, we need to choose. I was unable to get with Dr. Zendejas with dates. I was hoping to bring dates to you that they had. I was unable to connect. So maybe if we could get an array of whether tonight, I know we have one missing, so or I can do it via email, or somehow we need to get some dates that all 8 of us, and we wanted to include Wayne also, so 9 of us, how we that we could all commit to be there, because if we're not all there, then there's no sense having the meeting, because you have to have the team present. So thoughts, questions, ideas, concerns?
And part of my objective in doing that was the fact that there are board goals. If you look at that, it'll update our board goals too, which we were working on.
Yes.
So a lot of that will go in conjunction. So when we get through that, we can kind of, our board goals should pretty well be updated for next year. So we probably won't have to do a lot of tweaking on that between then and next year. So hopefully that'll kind of serve 2 purposes at the same time. Get our board goals redone and reset, plus get our team of 8 training out of the way at the same time. So we kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So that was my objective in trying to do it that way. So in the discussion items that Ms. Cook had brought up. So anybody got any comments on that, questions?
What is the deadline for that required 3 hours?
Well, officially tonight, you're having your hours for this past year. So you missed the deadline for this past year, but by setting it tonight and looking forward, then we can go ahead and get it out of the way so we don't have that happen again for this next year. But tonight, everyone is deficit in that area because we were not able to get that done.
Because we met last June and set goals.
Yes.
So is it every June, or is it,
No, just once a year. I think once a year, you gotta have 3 hours training once a year, right?
so the one we did in last summer
Well-
did not count for,
Was it last summer?
No, I think it was a couple of years, it's a little longer than that, I think.
Well, I don't guess it
oh, we were here because we
It was right after we got elected to
Right.
the board.
because I remember,
But I don't know that it was considered team building. It was a goal-setting meeting.
okay,
So, I mean, we could go back and see, but they didn't give us any document.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, because it goes back, that's why I pulled to make sure that our agenda included, there's certain things you have to pick out one of these things. And I think because we were just setting goals, because the key requirements has to be, let's see, assessing performance and planning for improvement, clarifying roles, understanding work styles and personality types, refining operating procedures, addressing common problems, developing a vision and setting goals. We didn't really develop a vision. It could have almost fit there if she'd have worked it that way. But I think where we missed that probably is not having them specifically plan it as a team of 8 training.
okay. Because she hit upon some of those.
Yeah.
but
We didn't cover some of the other requirements.
Can
And
you
again,
put out multiple dates and, because I know I'm gone for a full week in that month, in June 18th to the 24th. So.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of.
The whole week out of
Yeah.
4, and then it's,
Well, what I can do is get with her, get every open date she can give me. I will shoot them to you, and then I think did we do the doodle before? Did y'all feel okay, comfortable with that? And then everybody can click on every one that's good for you, and then we'll pick the one that
has 8 people or 9.
that everyone can do.
Okay.
So we'll try to do it that way. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
And do you feel good about the
Oh, yeah.
topics that we would be covering, or did you want to do something else?
That covers it all.
Okay.
Here's an idea, since it's going to be a power pack of 3 hours.
Yes.
We have a lot of ground to cover. Whether we do it before or after, if we're not able to, one is to set the goal, right? And then with that goal, we set how we're going to measure it, what are we going, all the details behind that. So do we want to have a board committee who tackles the first topic and then a committee of 2 or 3 to work out the details, and then we come back together?
So what do you mean setting the goal?
The part for setting goals,
Well, you've already set the goals. Remember, we did that. You have your goals, and in the academic performance, we need to put what it's going to be measured by. What's the timeline? When do you expect the A rating for all campuses in district to occur? But we set our board goals, unless you want to change the board goals or do something different.
okay, so maybe I'm the first hour of roles, rights,
Right.
responsibilities, and in that we're going to cover the code of conduct, our operating procedures, and develop an evaluation mechanism or form for the board members, right?
No,
So-
you weren't going to develop. She was going to talk to you
Just
about
talk to
what
us.
it means to evaluate the board, and then you can have next steps from that. That's what I'm saying. You won't develop
Oh,
anything.
okay,
You
okay.
should- It'll be kind of like a learning
Okay.
point to say, this is what it should look like. This
Uh-huh.
is where you currently are. These are your this is your procedures you have in place, and you do as a board feel like there's areas that you want to improve and what next steps might be. But you wouldn't be developing anything
won't-
necessarily during that.
Okay, okay.
Now, the academic performance is you looking at the data, and it would be a flyover of it. It won't be a deep dive but we would try to make it where it's, and probably send that out to you prior, yes, so you have time to look at it. And then using that data, begin to look at the baseline. Either that night, you could say, yes, we feel good that we want to go ahead and set the timeline and the expectations, or next steps for that. So I'm kind of seeing this is going to be more of you getting the information and us creating next steps. I don't see that you're going to be able to, because of just what you said, be able to tackle all of these and come away with some big document or something. That's just going to be too much.
yeah, in an hour, we can't develop a 5-year plan in an hour. that's gonna be, and he's just gonna tell us things we need to do when we do that, and then we come back and we'll develop that, we'll kind of update our 5-year plan or whatever we need to do with that, so, So he's just gonna give a little tidbits of information to help us, so when we start developing our board goals and updating them, we have a better understanding of what we're looking at and how we do that, so.
It's basically working off of what you currently have in place and fine tuning that, and then what would be the next steps, and what you want it to look like as a board, and what training or meetings do you want to have? Because if we can set that in June and we go ahead and plan it out for the year, then we can make sure that we schedule that in and it happens, so that
Okay.
you can't, because we don't want to sit here again next April going up.
Exactly.
We never got to that.
Because over the course of this year, we've talked about it and we've set some dates and we
Yes.
just didn't get there. And
Yes.
so, if it's a matter of all of us being there at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
I guess once we set and reconfirm
Mm-hmm.
the goals, in our vision, then the next steps,
Right.
do the next steps require all of us, or can we break that up in
Not necessarily.
pieces?
You could do, like you're saying, you
Okay.
could have committees and say, okay, like facilities, for example, say, we really like a committee to work with the superintendent to gather input from the community on what they think or expectations, and have some town halls and work to, that could be one idea.
Okay.
So those could be next steps, and so you could designate a committee and say you'll work to get that information, then bring it back to a regular board meeting or set up another workshop.
Okay. As long as we set a plan.
Yes.
So
And
that
hopefully that's what will come from this,
out of
is
this
the
June
plan
meeting. Okay.
of what we need to do next.
All right, so that way we don't lose sight and time gets
Yes.
away from us.
Well, I'm not sure, Mr. Flores, how's your summer schedule working? Are you off Saturdays?
I'm off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I work at Oxy. That's a total different story. So we have an explosion the last time. We keep having
Yeah.
little
So it's
hiccups.
just, you just kind of rolling the dice and hope you're
That's-
supposed to be off, but you never know until it happens, so, gotcha.
So
Yeah, I'm not sure what your work schedule is like. Mr. Rector and I, we're kind of free. Because, we're kind of free anytime and every time, so, our work schedule doesn't really conflict, but, and I'm sure how yours, Miss.
Early in the week is better. Again, that week, that month is just we're out of town.
Well,
almost every-
like I say, I think most of it's kind of gonna be driven by
Driven
by
where the
dates,
Education
yeah.
Service Center, the dates they can
They
come and
even
do
have
it.
That
And when we get those dates, then you're gonna put those out and we can pick a date that everybody,
And if it doesn't work in June, then we'll start moving to July, but
July.
it's just, we've got to try to land somewhere, like you said, we'll do like we did this year, we'll get all the way through the year, and we still weren't able to get this accomplished, so.
well, and a lot of it did with the
So.
COVID stuff too, with COVID, we couldn't get to the Education Center, we were kind of restricted to what they could do and when they could do it and how they could get over here and then people's work schedules and everything else, it was a comedy of errors this year.
Well, I'll make myself available as much as possible, and if you want to do a Saturday morning, what have you. I'm flexible on,
I'll get every date
Time
she
and-
has and send it to you.
And that may be a problem with the Education Service, so I'm not sure how they work weekends.
Yeah.
They may want to do it during the weekday, so,
Right.
it depends upon, how their schedule works and that, so, but,
or even if we go there,
yeah, so,
just need to get it done.
yeah. Okay, anything else on the, upcoming events? Team of 8 training? I'm sorry. And next is financial reports, Ms. Stansberry. Accounts payable, budget status, tax collection, bond finance, and FEMA projects. Yeah, you have any comments on that, Ms. Stansberry? No? Yeah, you guys, I don't know if you had a chance to look at them in that, but if you had a chance to look at those things and look at them for the meeting, I think everybody's had an opportunity to do that. Anybody have any questions, Ms. Stansberry, on those? Yes.
There's a quarterly report that we were provided. It's the investment summary report, tax pools funds for March 31st, 2022. And midway down, there is a line item for APISD scholarship fund. Okay, and so in January, as of January 1st, there was 521, but it's a quarterly report. That's what it still is now, with senior awards and graduation coming, does the district anticipate any other funds? Because the next time we get this report, school will be over. So I was just curious.
This is the balance that is in the investment account from the Coastal Bend Foundation Scholarship Fund.
Oh, okay.
And they have actually stopped giving us excess funds. We send them a list of students that qualify for the scholarships, and we send them the dollar amount that each student has earned, because it's on a point system.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually fund to the penny of what we're gonna be spending.
Okay.
So this money is just sitting there, and it's not enough to actually generate interest anymore, so it's just sitting there.
And our scholarships, when we have the scholarship deals, those are coming from individual organizations, and they're just providing that money, so it doesn't come out of our
It
account.
goes to the
so-
students or
Yeah,
goes
so
through.
those are separate,
yeah.
that's a
Oh,
separate
yes,
deal.
I knew that.
so-
I just wasn't sure what this line item was.
That's what it was. In the beginning, and I can give you the history, but in the beginning, they gave us a large sum of money. But when they finally realized that school, our hands were tied on how we could invest it, we weren't getting near the money that they were able to, so they backed off on how much they were giving us every year. And they finally decided that they would just fund year by year the exact dollar amount. And that way, it also helps our liability of being responsible for a large sum of money. So that's the way it's been going for quite a few years now.
Well, that makes sense. If they can make that money grow
Yes.
to greater increments or faster, then that just means it's that many more students hopefully could be served. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else got any questions? Next, the consent agenda, consider and approve the minutes of the March 28th regular board meeting. Everybody had an opportunity to have any questions or comments on the March 28th board meeting minutes? Everybody had an opportunity to look over them? Any questions on them? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Approve.
Motion made by Mr. Rector. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Delfino. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next is announce the board continuing education. And again, just for public information, that the Texas legislators has kind of required school board members so many hours of training every year they're supposed to get. Just like the teachers now have things they got to get, so there's certain required items you're supposed to get. New school members continue, older school board members. So it's just like just like life, that school never stops. You got to continue getting educated. So, but I got a statement here. Under the school board education rule, completing the required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation for any sitting board member. Requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of a trustee's election or appointment, or a 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 3 topics for each board member continuing education. Topic 1 is the special required training, which is statutory legislative, which is the Open Meeting Act, Public Information Act, and cybersecurity. Also, the regulatory school board of education, state board of education, orientation on Texas Education Code, local district orientation, update of Texas Education Code, child abuse prevention, evaluating and improving student outcomes, which is a 3-hour requirement you're supposed to have once a year. Topic 2 is team building, and then which is one we're missing because of COVID. So really, there's nobody on the board that has any of those hours. It's a 3-hour requirement every year, but we've not been able to accomplish as far as things going on around and getting people here at the time and getting everybody's schedule set up with people that require. We just weren't able to do that this year, so that's what we're looking ahead to try to do it during the summertime this year. So hope we get that accomplished faster. And then topic 3 is additional continuing education. Those are the things that you do that are not required. It's just you just want information about certain things, so you just go take the class you know, it's just a FYI for you to get, you know, better versed in what your roles are. Due to scheduling conflict created by COVID-19 pandemic, all trustees were unable to complete the Team of 8 training, team building training. However, this training will be scheduled for June 22. Hopefully, if not, we'll schedule another date. As previously discussed in this meeting, the majority of board members have completed 9% of all required training. A summary of credit hours will be posted on our website at apsid.org. Anybody got any questions on that? Okay. Next is consider and approve the district-initiated policy change to DEC local compensation and benefits, leaves and absences, and
There's
If
one
there-
right before that.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, consider and approve textbook selection. It was kind of blanked out on my paper.
No, it's okay. That's okay.
Consider and approve the textbook selection committee. Ms. Cook?
Proclamation 2022 calls for instructional materials for health, kindergarten through 12th, and physical education K through 12. A committee that you see in your packet is made up of teachers that will review these textbooks that are up for adoption. Shelley Dominguez, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, she will be the chairperson of the committee. So this is something we bring to you each year that we have, we need our instructional committee to be approved by the board so that they can begin that process.
Anybody got any questions on that, comments? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the textbook selection committee
So moved.
members? Motion made by Ms. Diasas. Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Hill. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, now we go to the
Yes.
okay, leaves and absence FM local student activity. Attached to proposed revised policy DEC, DEC and FM. Again, that was due to, we had that for review last week for the changes, and the biggest changes was, you know, it leaves them discretion to do it instead of a mandatory so many days. So we opened that up and we changed the policy so that the administrators can figure out how it's going to affect their capability to do it, and it also gives our employees the availability. 'Cause right now it's like 5 days. Is that what they have, Ms. Cook? Is that what
Or leave,
for leave? Like they had 5 days they could take.
but they can only take 3 at a time by
Yeah.
policy.
So again, if they had a
Three in a
death in the
row, I
family or
should say,
something, they have to
3 in a
use all
row.
those. They couldn't take any more. So that gives our employees a little bit more opportunity to fill whatever needs
These
they
are
may
the
come up.
ones that were originally, as the policy had, you know, before a holiday or certain, it had
Yes.
prescribed, where now they use, they look at the duration of the leave, the effect on the educational program, and the availability of subs. And so let the supervisors be able to look at that. It's more family-friendly to our staff. Because there's just some things that are totally out of their control that fall on those dates that were prohibited. So we would like to be able to have the supervisors be able to make those decisions with those other criteria in place that are currently still in the
Yeah,
policy.
and the other one dealt with student activities, which is at a point that if a kid had so many days absence, he couldn't go to so he had to leave campus to go play baseball. It's usually in the latter part of the season, track and baseball, softball, that those kids were unable to go compete in those activities. So this is going to do away with that, so it allows them to be able to do that. So
Yeah, because the no pass, no play will get them if it's, you know, these are students that are excelling, they're doing well, and they're able to handle all of these activities. And so this policy unintentionally was basically punishing those students for wanting to do more. And we never want to hold our students back from being able to do as much as they wish to do and can handle.
does anybody got any questions on those two policies changes? This is going to be up for approval. So we had first reading last month. So this is going to be approve them. So anybody got questions or comments on those?
The DEC local is for the discretionary use, and then the one regarding student extracurricular activities is the FM local?
FM local,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Anybody else got any questions? Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the district-initiated policy change to policies DEC and FM local?
So moved.
Mrs. Butler made a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is consider and approve the plans for Keyburger Wing remodel to create district office space. Ms. Cook?
Okay, so, you know, I'm not one to give up. So we kept looking at how we can make this happen. And we want to go back to what is the purpose? And I want to say a lot of this because I know you know this, but so those that may watch this video so they'll know what we're doing. So this is really so we can provide additional classroom space here at Charlie Marshall. We currently take up one wing of almost an entire wing. We're kind of down to half of a wing now with our district administrative office spaces. I think we've been here, I don't know exactly when we moved in here. I've been here 4 years now, so at least 4 years plus. And as we're seeing growth, we need more classroom space for them to grow into. As we have a priority to keep class sizes smaller, well, in order to do that, you need to have classroom space to be able to do that. As we look at areas to do tutoring and provide those extra services that are needed to close the gaps, we need the space. And then as we want to expand, like with our extreme lab, you would need a classroom to have this lab for them, the students to have the access. So at the forefront of this purpose is our students, providing adequate space for them to excel and for us to enrich them and do all that we're wishing to do. So that's the purpose for looking at this first and foremost. I want to make that perfectly clear because I don't want anybody to think it's about us as the administration having offices. We need a space, yes, but that's not the main purpose. So the proposal is to use one of the wings of the unoccupied campus of Keyburger. We currently have our alternative education at the end of that particular wing. And so we have, I think it's 9 classrooms going down that wing that would be able to be divided and turned into office spaces. And the bones of that campus are still pretty good, but there's just a few things that need to be enhanced and done. And so that's where we, with the planning, looking at what is the minimal amount of work that would be required to turn those classrooms into offices so that we could vacate this so Charlie Marshall could then be whole. We would still keep from the doors coming into to this area for the boardroom because we don't have enough funding right now to build a new boardroom, and this is a very nice space. So our proposal is to keep this the boardroom and the office spaces over here that I currently have and curriculum and assistant superintendent. This would become a good training center because we already use that a lot where we train our teachers and so forth, so we can use this as a training center / boardroom. So we would still use the space. Not to say that Charlie Marshall might not use it for some things also, but this is not the space they're really needing. They're needing these classrooms back. So as part of this renovation, it would include HVAC ventilation, of course, so we have good air quality for those that are there. There is some minor electrical and technology upgrades that would need to be completed because it is an older building. A security system with cameras installed. Part of the scope of this work would also include our alternative education, which houses some students, and extend over into the area where we currently now have our welding facility that has almost completed, and where we're going to be putting health science. So it will encompass some of that beyond the office spaces. It would be for construction of the office spaces using the current walls as much as possible, and the only time any kind of construction would be done would be to take a classroom and divide it in, most of them being divided into 3 offices. And then any upgrades to the restrooms, because little people were there, and so we are not little people, so we would need to upgrade the restrooms. you're probably wondering, well, where would we get the funding? We've had a lot of conversation about our fund balance, and we know that is off the table, and that's something we're trying to build back. So we did our research, and it looks like the realm of possibility for us to use some of our ESSER grant funding, that this would fit into that, since we are providing all those accesses, as I've discussed, from tutoring, smaller class sizes, enrichment space, that this would fit into that. So part of the process would be for us to tonight, what we're bringing to you are the plans. We worked with our architect firm. He has done this just as a gift to us, pro bono, to help us out, knowing that we had very limited funding. So he and his team have helped us and working with all of our, we had all of our our office staff got to draw out what they wanted their office space to look like, what they needed in there, and then he took that and created these plans. So everyone's had input multiple times, and we wanted this to be their space that they felt good about. So if tonight you approve these plans and approve our method of going out for our proposals for the, let's see, what do we call it? Just lost my train of thought. Competitive sealed proposals, and then we would be then going to, TEA will also be involved in this process, which is a little different because they will have the final say whether we can use those ESSER funds. But in order to get to that point, I need to have you agree that you feel this is a good plan, that you are feel comfortable with it. Then we can go out for the competitive sealed proposals, find out the actual cost. We've kind of done some, asking and looking to kind of see kind of a ballpark figure of what we think it will come in at, but we're kind of holding that close, hoping that it's maybe it can come in a little below that, depending on construction costs are very high right now. And so it's not only getting your approval, but then also getting TEA's approval. So it is one method, a little different than I've ever personally done, but it is an opportunity for us to get something done that is on our facility planning list without it coming out of our local budget at this time. We have looked at our ESSER funding very closely, moved things around, and this will not hinder us from still doing the things that we had set as goals when we first started looking at this to meet the needs of students. So we feel very comfortable with this proposal, and I'm open to answer any questions you have about the proposal, the timeline, or the sketches that you received.
I looked at the plan. Mr. Rector, I think you looked at the plans too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Has anybody else had an opportunity to look at the plans?
Not the final ones, but
Not the final ones?
I was impressed
I know,
with
Mr.
those
Flores, your
ones.
work schedule, you probably hadn't had a chance to look at them, have you? The plans for the new Cape Burger? Yeah.
I mean, I
'cause-
have the big plans in there if you'd
Yeah.
like me to bring them in here to show you, if you can't get them up on your computer. But
yeah, so like I said, it's an opportunity for us to open up in here for space-wise for kids. One of the things I brought to Ms. Cook when I talked to her is maybe decrease the size of classrooms so we can find more teachers, and we got smaller classrooms. So that's the ESSER funds as well, because it's going to help our kids, get back up to speed where they need to be faster than in a larger classroom. So there's a lot of purposes behind that. It gives the opportunity to give a better education for our kids, and gives without having to spend a lot of money to build a wing onto this place. We can just kind of do what we need to do with it, and that's the cheapest option we can do and still come out way ahead. So
well, and it's utilizing current space that is vacated and keeping it updated and in good shape, because we don't want it to, because it's a good space. We just needed to use it in a wise manner. But the plans do include Of course, we'd have the front office space, and we'd have secure entry system, and make sure everything's secure. Then there would be a conference room there so that all, right now, the conference room either had to be in here or in my office as a classroom. So we'd have a separate conference room so that all the people in the building could have a space for their trainings or conferences. And then each of the spaces have, where everyone has their own, because I think this was built originally to be temporary, and so this would be built with more of a permanent look. So there'd be privacy, the ability to do their work, and have access that they need to carry out the work of the district.
Yeah, I think originally this was a band hall or choir room or something in Charlie Marshall. And then whenever May Allen kind of fell down and kind of collapsed, they had to move into something else, so they did renovate this office space for a boardroom, which compared to the old boardroom, this is about 10 times bigger. So, so it's a lot better, better atmosphere. So we want to kind of keep that in here as well, because this is a very, very good space for board meetings. We have space for people to sit out in the audience. And in the old boardroom, if you got more than 10 people there, people had to stand outside. So, it was kind of bad. The people that weren't here to see that, it was really needed. So this is well needed. So we don't want to give that up as a board. At least I don't, as a board, give that opportunity up in this, and plus it's, it prevents this public having to build us another, funding for another bond for filling district administration in a boardroom. So it's just, we're trying to be frugal with the public's money and come up with the best way we can do what we need to do to keep moving forward. But, it's the most cost-effective way to do that. So, You got questions? Did you have a chance to look at them, Delphino?
This area right here, that shaded gray, and it says special ed, is that already occupied or?
Yes, thank you for this. Remember, we did the pilot program, special ed chose to go over, and we had some local funding we used this past summer, and we were able to go ahead and see how this was going to look, and so special ed is already there, so those rooms are already complete.
So that shaded area is covered already?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just the other start over there where they got the walls and things, and it's got enough room for all of our administration to be over there. So And it's got a little conference room for them too, so they can actually have a little
Yes.
conference, and they have a break room and some other things over there. So all that's incorporated into it. But I want to thank Lamar for doing that pro bono, because it didn't cost us anything to get those plans done. So. That helps out our finances a little bit, so we don't have to spend money to do something so I want to pass my thanks to him as well for doing that for us. Anybody got any comments or questions on that? Okay.
Not on the plans, they're fine. You may have mentioned this before, but to convert these into classrooms, that's going to be done in-house, correct?
The classrooms here, yes, we'll work with Mr. Sagert and his team to determine, because we've discussed that they may want to keep some of these spaces that are divided off to use them more for special, teaching dyslexia or tutoring spaces. So they may want to keep some of them sectioned off for that. But we'll definitely be working with them. Just about everything in these offices was not permanent anyway, so they'll just be able to take those, anything he wants to open back up as an entire classroom could be taken down.
Yeah,
and
I think
redone.
this was originally, like I said, classrooms originally, and they just kind of
Yes.
converted those space over and did
Yes.
renovations on them to make them usable for office space. So all you have to do is undo that renovation, and you already got the classroom space back, so
Right.
it's already there.
The
Just-
biggest thing I'll be looking for is the furnishings
That was
to
my-
make sure that
my
they
next
have
question.
furniture. Because right now, Charlie Marshall has pretty old furniture anyway. That was one of the things on my listening tour I heard the teachers say multiple times, because they really are big on doing collaboration and having the right type of furniture to do that. So I'm going to be looking for the funding to see how to make that happen for them in their current classrooms, as well as the expansion.
You don't think we could use some extra money for that? Because it's going to
Yes.
help you education-wise, so,
Yes.
it's going to give them a better learning atmosphere for
Yes.
us to, so that may be something.
So can we bundle the request in May to TEA for this plan and the renovation plan for Charlie Marshall, the furniture to go along with it?
We won't need that. TEA, the only reason we have to ask TEA for this is because it's a remodel, because we're doing construction.
Oh,
It
it's not the
doesn't-
use of ESSER funds,
N-
it's the construction part of it?
We're using ESSER funds, but if you use ESSER funds to do construction, you have to have TEA prior approval before you
Okay.
start the construction. That's the only reason we have to ask TEA specifically. The rest of the time when we use ESSER funds, as long as they fit the criteria, and when we submit it and draw down the money, we don't have to go through this process. The only time we're doing it is
Okay.
because of construction. If you do any type of HVAC construction or purchasing of buses, you have to go through a pre-approval.
Okay, because I know that you and the team worked on a plan initially when
Yes.
the school district received or was notified that we would be awarded. So I didn't know if that had to be, if that was turned in and then you have to revise it
No,
or
well,
anything of that nature.
we can amend, but
Okay.
we'll be pulling from indirect costs. We'd put some money in indirect costs because when we received all that money, we really didn't know what we were looking at or what all we were going to need to do or how much things were really going to cost. So we put some money in some indirect costs that we can just pull it out and it doesn't affect the original budget.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Delphine, if you had a good opportunity to look at those. Okay, you have any questions on them?
No.
Okay, so anybody out there any questions on the Keyburger remodel plan to create office space? If not, do I have a motion to approve the plans for remodeling of one wing at Keyburger for district offices?
So moved.
Mr. Rector, motion made by Mr. Rector. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hill. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed, say aye. And the ayes have it. The motion carries. Okay, next is consider and approve method of procurement for Keyburger wing remodel. Okay, Ms. Cook again?
Well, this is a competitive sealed proposal. This is basically the way you've done most, any type of procurement that you've done before in the past. We did CCMAR for the athletic complex, which was different for us, so it's kind of going back to that. So we'll basically send out the scope of work. It'll be advertised, as you saw in the timeline, for at least 2 weeks. We'll receive the competitive sealed proposals. Then we'll go back through them once we receive them. We will rate them according to our criteria based off of quality, price, and so forth. And then we'll, once we've ranked them, we'll bring them back to you. Our hope is that we do that by the next regular board meeting. We bring back to you the recommendation of who we'd be using. And we're hoping, we're being told that we could have some general contractors that might pick this up and do that kind of lead out for us, which we would graciously appreciate. But if not, if it doesn't come in our budget, then we will start pushing to get sealed proposals for each of the areas, like from HVAC companies, from electrical companies, and then we would have to oversee that. We're hoping not to have to do that, but we are all willing to do it to make this happen.
And historically, in that process is where we failed to put our wish list all on the same page, so when they bid, they're bidding for what we want, not what they think we want. And then when we look into it and they start doing it, and now we said there's a bathroom and we only have 2, and we thought we had 4, and that just adds to the list, and
Right.
our proposals end up being $200,000, $500,000 off of what we as a board approved. So can we make sure
Yes.
very, very careful on what we're asking the proposals to be
Well-
in fine detail, and you know what y'all want.
Yes. Well, this is pretty simple. There's not a lot there's not a lot we can do. There's walls, there's some electrical.
Electricity, there's plumbing.
Yes.
All of that's extremely expensive.
Yes,
so-
yes. And so I think we've pretty much beat this up.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And, but I will tell you, anytime you do construction, especially a remodel, there will be something we don't account for. There is, and when you're dealing with an old building, because they're liable to pull up a commode and the whole thing collapse. There's no way to know that. So there's no way to plan for everything, but as far as what our expectations are and our scope of work, and we know we've prioritized which things we know have to be done for us to move into it. So some of the other things If we find out that something's broken that we didn't realize behind the wall, once we do it, then we would have to say, well, we're gonna have to do that and we can't do this. So we're kind of going in eyes wide open, knowing I do not like remodel projects. That's what scares me about it, because you do not know what you're going to hit.
when you tear down
But
the
yes,
wall.
ma'am, we're trying to be, because we only have so much money.
Exactly.
And so we're trying to figure out how to make this happen with this little bit of money that we have. And so we're being very vocal.
Is that lab, the medical lab area, is that pretty much done? Just needs to be organized and set up? Or is there monies going into that in this proposal?
We'll have grant funding that will help us. We have some grant funding too.
There's no reconstruction or?
No,
anything
well,
being
we'll
done?
build some walls. For this next year, it'll be partitions that we'll just put up, but eventually we'll build some walls in there. We'll have some plumbing, because they have to have water in their station areas. But that should be minimal again too. Some painting, definitely painting, because the colors in there are quite wild. So, yes. Mm-hmm.
When is the last time that we've had work done to the plumbing at that building? Do we know?
I don't know
I'm
if
just-
Harvey required it or
Just
not.
looking at adding these newer toilets and some of those pieces, I just don't want us to be surprised if our plumbing is completely out of date.
Well, we're hoping that we're just going to remove, and we're not asking those questions. Well, the thing you have to remember too is you had hundreds of kids using this plumbing. There's 30 employees now. So there's a big difference in the amount of use that will happen. But yes, if y'all want us to dig into the ground and find out what the plumbing looks like, then we'll go ahead and I would say don't approve this. I'm just being honest with you, because I have no idea what that plumbing looks like under there.
Yeah.
It works now, so,
Make
you
them
know,
down.
just assume it works later, so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want us to do an investigation on the plumbing, then I can try to bring that back to you, but
I think that'd be very expensive.
Well, I wasn't requesting for us to change the plumbing. I was just trying to ensure we don't have like old galvanized lines or some that may be rusted out, and we're putting, because when they go in these plans, we had new toilets and just things of that nature, so they're gonna tap it. So I just didn't want us to get started and that be a huge holdup. That's my only concern. It's just protecting us so that we don't start investing in something that can't be completed. It's just I mean, if the building's so old,
You need one toilet.
just thinking of all the
Just,
projects
just
that
like you
we've
did, yeah,
touched in this
Right.
city with their ages, that's been a big,
well,
big piece.
yeah, I guess I'm not familiar with how to do that. I guess I can have a plumber come out and I don't know how they investigate what's under there.
Had some repairs done. I
Mhm.
would get with Charlie.
Okay.
And
Make
we
it with
can
the
go
camera.
back into
Okay.
history and
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can do some historical look through this and
Yeah.
see.
They
So
do,
honestly, it might be cheaper just to cap it all and build a separate facility, bathroom facility, than messing with the existing. I mean, you're having basically a full summer classroom out there all summer, right? A school of 170 kids.
Yes.
So for 2 months, it's gonna be a very heavily used facility. And you still have the welding kids over there.
Right.
And then if we add on water lines when we do the medical,
Right.
the nursing stations, I'm just thinking of all the things we'd be adding to those lines and making sure that we're not.
I'm
Compromising
not
them.
putting thorn in the whole
No,
concept is
no, not at all.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But
Pick it up.
it may only be good for a few years, and then the bigger
Right.
picture
Yeah.
come out, and the concept of using this building wasn't so hot.
Yeah, I
Well,
just,
then we can halt and get the plumbing, make sure we get all the plumbing figured out and bring that report back to you. I mean, because it has caused me some concern of what's under the ground, because I don't know. I mean, it's been working. It seems to be in good working order, but I can't guarantee that.
So really, the plumbing's not gonna be so much changing the plumbing in the building, it's just gonna be putting bigger toilets in there than what's existing in there, and maybe raising the sink up a little bit higher. So really, the existing plumbing in the building would just be still there. So they're not gonna do any construction on the building itself as far as that remodeling the plumbing. It's just hooking up to what's there.
Did we
Yeah.
go back in there after Harvey? Did we go back into that building after Harvey as far as full school functioning?
Yes,
We did, right?
Yep.
So it was being utilized even after
Yes.
the,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah.
The plumbers can do a
They can do
pre-inspection.
an
All they gotta
inspection
do is
on it.
bring in
It's not
cameras.
that costly.
And they
honestly.
they run
Get it
cameras through their
inspected.
piping.
And the city can
They'll
also
tell you
come
the,
and
they'll be able to
ask
see
them
what
how
kind
the
of
clean
problems the
outs are.
piping has. So they run cameras through the piping, they do it, I mean, we have it done at our job site, so we don't have a collapse and we have a backflow, and they have cameras, they'll run them through there and they'll
Right.
tell you your piping is just,
clay, if it's clay or.
yeah.
So what we can do as part of this scope of work is, we can put into this that we need to have the plumbing checked out to
Yeah,
make sure
just a
that it's,
pre-inspection
that
and-
it's stable and can handle years of use. And if
Correct.
not, what that
recommend
scope of
moving
work
one
would be.
line Or something
Yeah.
like that. just
So, yeah, so if you wanted to go ahead and approve for us to move forward, but I won't go out, we won't put the competitive sealed proposal out till we change the scope of work. So you can make your recommendation that your scope of work, you want to include it also to be a plumbing inspection,
It's a prevention.
so that we
Yeah.
know what we're getting into.
Yeah.
And most plumbers will do that,
yeah. It's
you know, most plumbers they're gonna go and do a job in plumbing. They're gonna go say,
Right.
well, we're gonna do a pre-inspection and we'll let you know if it's worth tapping into it or do we have to replace this and that.
Okay.
Most of them will do it, so we just make sure they're gonna do that.
Now, well, I agree with you, because I don't wanna spend all this money and then we turn around next year and
Get a
come back to Charlie Marshall.
Get a
for the
backflow and,
restroom
I don't
facilities.
think our staff members are gonna be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, backflow
No.
wouldn't be too pretty.
No, that will not make a bunch of ladies happy.
I don't think they'll be too happy with that. But we'll keep them there working through it.
So again, I think, that, if anybody have any other questions on this or whatever, that, what I'm hearing is the fact that, when we go out for the bids, that'll be part of the deal is make sure that they're gonna inspect, to make sure,
Pre-inspection of the
pre-inspection before
Okay.
they take care. Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve the competitive seal proposals as, method of procurement for Keyburger Wing Remodel Project? Motion made by Ms. Piazza, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hill, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I need you to go back up and approve the plans to.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't do that already?
Yeah, no, if you could approve the plans and then just add to that, you'd like as part of the scope of work to be the inspection of the plumbing.
Section of the plumbing.
'Cause you did the procurement as the CSP, but, right?
So we gotta
approve
go
the plans
consider and approve the
itself.
plan. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the plans for remodeling of one wing of Keyburger for district offices? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Do you have a motion made by Mr. Rector, or a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hill, all in favor, say aye.
Discussion. Need to amend the motion to include the pre-inspection, the plumbing pre-inspection. Is that what you
pre-inspection.
needed as well?
But that was part of the other one we did on the competitive seal bids, right?
Well, it really needs to be part of the plans, because in the plans has the scope of work.
Okay.
So if you put it both places, we're covered. We're
Okay.
covered
All right. Just
everywhere.
wanna make sure you
Yeah.
get what they need so that when they
Yes,
go out,
thank
okay.
you, thank you.
So again, with that amendment, do I hear a motion for, again, to accept that as amended?
So moved.
So moved by Ms. Piazza, here a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hill, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, ayes, got it. Okay, now. Go
Got
to
messy there a
topics
minute.
of future meetings. Anybody have anything that we need to bring up for discussion, or would you like to add to agenda for future meetings?
We're gonna add,
Ms.
You had one,
Yes, ma'am.
the item you had earlier that you were talking, you said you wanted as a future item on the
Plaque discussion.
discussion.
Yeah.
The facility.
The plaque for the athletic facility. Yeah, we need to talk about, that and what we want to put on it, and who wants to put on it, and how many, how we want it to read and that kind of stuff. Or if we want to do it. I mean, it depends, like I said. So that's something, because, again, it's not like a lot of money, but it's money, What, you come up with some, what did he say it may cost for that
Said
plaque?
he felt like it cost at least $1,500.
Okay, so that's
To
not,
put it on a building, not to put it on a pedestal.
yeah, that's just
Right.
to put the
Right.
plaque.
Right.
You know, just the plaque itself, and then you gotta install it and stuff.
Because how
Yeah.
much was the little Bob Spears?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then it's gonna be more
But
than
that was, that was old, that was.
Things
for-
have
that was
gone up.
Pandemic, so now the pandemic's here. Yeah, so, yeah, yeah, so we need to add that, you know, how we have that part is, the plaque for the athletic facility, you know, open it up, and if we wanna do it or whatever else. And also, we need to discuss any resolutions for the delegate assembly. Anybody would like any resolutions to the delegate assembly, which is Legislative Advisory Council, which goes up to the state legislators every year. And TASB, you know, the delegate assembly comes up with some resolutions that they want the board, you know, the board comes up for them that they go to TASB and make the recommendations, and then we vote on them at the conference in September. And then for the next legislative session, those resolutions are presented to the state legislators as things that TASB would like to see them to encourage or enforce or fund, and that type of stuff. So those are important things there that we do, that one of the things we do. So, you know, so again, if you have anything, resolution, also we need to nominate a primary and an alternate for the delegate assembly in September. So we need to go through all that and do that for in that. So that'll be as far as you know, something to put on the agenda for next time to talk about, and just kind of think about what you know, because again, the problem is the last 4 hours of the school board, you won't be in any classes. You'll be locked in a room somewhere. So it kind of just delays some of your training. So if you need training hours that you're kind of to do, it may not be beneficial for you to do that. But I think Mrs. Butler and I were there last time, so you kind of got an idea what it was about. So,
Yes.
But again, anybody wants to volunteer for that as a primary and a secondary, and we can send that off. And I think we have a deadline to do that, right, Blaze? Don't they send us something later on to tell us? Yeah, sometimes that we'll be ahead of the game, so we'll have that done, so we can, you know, put those people in for it. So, anybody else? Anything else for future meetings, topics? Okay, next on the agenda is convene the executive session as authorized by Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code 551.001, concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act, Section 551.074, discussion of personnel, contract recommendations for administrators, teachers/coaches, other certified personnel, non-certified personnel, information on new hires, District of Innovation, local certifications, and resignations. At this time, it is 8:20. I close the open session and we convene to executive session. Not yet, though. There we go. Okay, the time is now 8:58. We are back into open session. We have some things that we need to consider. Need to have a motion to approve the contract recommendations with changes as presented by administration. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Yasi, second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next is consider and approve the local teaching certification for Darkis Tyson. Do I hear a motion to approve the teach certification, local teacher certification? Do you hear a motion?
So move.
Motion by Ms. Hill, second by Mr. Rector. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And next is approve the local teacher certification for Melissa Frazier. Do you hear a motion? Motion by Mr. Diasis, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, and next is approved resignation as presented by administration. Do you hear a motion?
So move.
Motion by Mrs. Butler, seconded by Ms. Diasis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And it is now 8:59, and no other business for the meeting. I adjourn.
Made it before 9.